All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you all and thank you all so much for coming to our grant proposal training. My name is Whitney Armentor, and I am the Director of Development and Marketing for EveryCat Health Foundation. And just a quick reminder, as we go through today's presentation, should you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box on your Zoom toolbar. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's what we'll be talking about today. We're going to talk about who the EveryCat Health Foundation is. We'll talk about our foundation grants and the 3 grant cycles and criteria, as well as important deadlines and key dates. I'll go over some grant writing 101 tips and tricks to help you write better proposals. And for those of you both familiar and unfamiliar, I'll walk you through our new grant proposal software. And also at the very end, I will leave time to answer those questions and answer those questions that you go ahead and drop into that Q&A box on your Zoom toolbar. So, who is the EveryCat Health Foundation? We are a 55-year-old organization born out of the Cat Fanciers Association and started by Mr. Robert Wynn. We are an independent 501c3 nonprofit. Many of you likely knew us as the Wynn Feline Foundation. We rebranded in 2020 to better encompass our mission of helping every cat, every day, everywhere. In our history, we have funded monumental feline health research, such as early spay-neuter. Discovering the taurine deficiency led to heart conditions, which then led to reformulated standards for commercial cat food. We helped with research that determines the genetics of feline blood groups, effective treatment for stomatitis, and effective treatment for FIP, which this picture here of Dr. Niels Peterson, who has been just instrumental in finding treatment for FIP, we have been funding for decades, as you can see here with our former past board president, Joan Miller, in 1981. So now let's dive into the specifics of EveryCat's grant programs. Our grants are broken into 3 different funding opportunities: the EveryCat grants, the Miller Trust grants, and CAPK grants. Today, we will get into the specific requirements listed in the RFPs for each one, as well as the core of what we expect from proposals. But before we do that and jump into our largest funding cycle, which is the EveryCat, I do want to take a moment to explain what an RFP is. RFP stands for Request for Proposals. Different organizations sometimes call them different things. They can be LOIs, they can be call for proposals. We call them RFPs. Our RFP will contain all the information you need to submit a grant and will live on the grants tab of everycat.org. For us, the core structure of the proposal is the same across our grant cycles, but the eligibility and focus is what changes. So first, we're going to talk about our largest grant cycle, which is the EveryCat grant cycle. For all of these cycles, I've taken the information straight from our RFPs on everycat.org website. If you have specific questions, though, I will be very honest right now. I am the fundraiser and marketing person for EveryCat. I am not a veterinarian. I am not a scientist. If you have questions that are scientifically specific, please go ahead and shoot those over to grants@everycat.org, and we will make sure to get it to the person who can answer that for you. So let's talk about the EveryCat grant cycle. The maximum grant award for that cycle is $50,000. We will consider multi-year proposals totaling more than $50,000. We will also consider continuation studies. So if you are awarded through us and you want to keep that research going, you are more than welcome to, though you do have to reapply and mark it on the application when you apply. We ask that for any proposal that you have achievable goals that demonstrate their relevance and benefit to all cats. And then applicants may come from any of the professions and titles that you see listed below on bullet number 3 on this slide. And while we encourage proposals applicable to all aspects of feline health, EveryCat Health Foundation does have a number of designated special funds, as you see here, such as the BRIA Fund for FIP, the Ricky Fund for HCM and feline heart disease. We have ones for amyloidosis, chronic kidney disease, and all the ones that you see here, plus more. All of these funds have been made possible because of the passion and drive of our dedicated donor base. And on that note, I'm going to put my development and fundraiser hat on for just a quick commercial break for just one slide. We continuously fundraise to be able to provide the best outcomes in feline health. Each year, there are proposals we can't fund because we need more resources. If any of the funds or our mission speak to you, I encourage you to visit everycat.org and participate in our Springing into Action fundraising campaign. Money raised helps us fund life-changing and life-saving feline health research. None of this would be possible without the support of dedicated cat lovers like you, and we welcome you to make a farther leap in creating a brighter future in feline health. So now back to our regularly scheduled grant presentation, and thank you for letting me have that moment to talk about our fundraising. Let's dive into what you'll be submitting for an EveryCat proposal and for all of our proposals. Listed here is everything you will include. For the sake of time today, I'm not going to hit every single bullet point on here. I'm just going to focus on the proposal study item. However, if you want to look at a full RFP and everything that goes into all of these bullet points, you can find that at everycat.org. And I know that some of those links are getting dropped into the chat too. So if you want to take a peek at those, feel free. But for now, we're going to talk about the study proposal because it is the core of your application. And when you write this, it should include a few of these things. It should include a really good background and relevant preliminary data that clearly addresses the study objectives and hypotheses. Please, please, please be specific. We want all the reasons, numbers, outcomes, limitations, plan Bs. Also, if you use abbreviations, please don't leave us guessing. Please provide a table as to what those abbreviations mean. We are very, very fortunate here at EveryCat Health Foundation to have a volunteer scientific review committee who is filled with some of the brightest researchers across the world who evaluate your proposals. So make this easy, but make it interesting and get into those details. And mentioning the numbers, a statistician must provide an evaluation of the design study. Help us help you by making sure those numbers and outcomes add up, because we notice if they don't. And this is just to help you even further in your proposal. And lastly, you must also document client-owned animals and please meet our humane guidelines. And I know those humane guidelines, we're going to drop a link to that in the chat today for you to take a look at those. So now that we've gone over how the EveryCat award cycle works and how to ace your proposal, I'd like to share about a couple of additional grant opportunities we have available thanks to the support of our generous donors. Our Miller Trust Grant Award has been made possible by George Sidney and Phyllis Redmond Miller Trust. Through their trustee, the San Francisco Foundation, we are given the incredible opportunity to provide grants to specific institutions with projects focusing on domestic cats. The maximum grant award for these is $50,000 for 1 to 2 years. And again, you have to be with a specific institution. So here is a list of those. So the way that it works is you must be at one of these institutions and the principal investigator must be at one of these institutions. However, partnerships with other institutions not listed on here are allowed. And if you are one of these universities and you want to partner with a university on this list, that's fine too. However, again, the principal investigator must be at one of these institutions. Also, before I move on to talking about CAP-K, which is our last grant cycle, I would like to mention that for the EveryCat and Miller Trust grant cycle, we do offer new feline investigator awards. Candidates must be recently appointed and interested in the career in feline health. They must be the primary investigator on the project. The award varies, and there's also a Feline Genomics New Investigator Award, and I encourage you to visit everycat.org to learn more of the details on that, or shoot us an email at grants@everycat.org. So now we're going to go ahead and we will talk about our last grant cycle, CAP-K, and this grant is actually open right now for proposals. Thanks to the generous support of Nestle Purina Pet Care and Mars Pet Care, we have funding available to study the effects of dietary phosphorus and calcium on renal health. This also includes studies on biomarkers to detect renal disease. The goal is to provide better nutrition in feline diets. Grants range from $10,000 to $100,000 for 1 to 2 year projects, and like other grant cycles, must demonstrate its relevance and ability to improve feline health. So in a minute, I will talk more on how to access the portal to apply for CAP-K as well as other grants in just a little while. But for now, I want to share some important dates with you. We'll talk about CAP-K in a second as being kind of a special one, but EveryCat and Miller Trust, this is consistent year to year. Our portal for EveryCat opens in August, it closes in December, and is awarded in May. For Miller Trust, our portal opens for submissions in April, it closes in August, and is awarded in November. CAP-K is currently open and will close on April 17th. So if you would like to apply for that, get on it now and make sure that you get it in before the April 17th deadline. Once the 17th passes, CapK is a special cycle, so please follow us on social media and our website for announcements on when that'll reopen again. So now that we've talked about the road to success for writing your proposal and what our grant cycles are, let's get into a little grant writing 101 and some do's and don'ts. These grant writing do's and don'ts I will share today apply to all grant writing, not just EveryCat, though a couple of these bullets in here are just for us. These come from my 14 years of experience writing grants and are good rules of thumb, not just for us, but for any proposal you write. So let's go ahead and go through these. First off, be certain that you meet the grant's eligibility criteria before you begin. To use an example relevant to EveryCat, if you are a university that is not on that list for the Miller Trust, then you will not be eligible to apply for that. You will not qualify for it. You will be better served to go to the EveryCat grant. Make sure to allow plenty of time to complete the proposal and meet the submission deadline. This is to help you not stress out, until you help not stress out your coworkers. Don't wait until the last minute. It's why we leave the portal open for so long. We want you to be able to read the instructions carefully, to take your time to fill that proposal out well. As mentioned before, we want you to work with a statistician and detail statistical analysis. Please read, adhere, and understand EveryCat's humane guidelines. If you do not meet those, you will not be approved. It will not be considered. We are not behind some veil. We're not hidden. We want you to ask us questions. So please reach out to the EveryCat Health Foundation staff for clarification if any questions arise. We ask in your proposals you include all information requested. We'll talk more about this later, but when you submit your proposal, we do make it easy not to forget things because many of the fields in the proposals are required. But still, make sure you please include all the information we request, specifically in like the proposals and in the documents that you are going to upload. Please pay attention to detail. And again, our scientific review committee, who is brilliant, suggested this one of please highlight or bullet the study hypotheses, aims, and/or objectives for emphasis. This is to help them more clearly see what those are as they're reviewing your proposal and to just make it a little bit easier reading on them so they don't have to hunt that down. We are not every dog, we are EveryCat, so please limit references to canines or other species to preliminary study data and references for proof of concept. That is very specific to us, not other proposals you may do. Project the unique attributes of your proposal. Tell us how this is going to be groundbreaking for feline health. Just make that shine and make that very clear. And again, be concise and specific in how you are going to do that. And please write to the evaluation criteria when you read that RFP. Make sure you're hitting those points as you go along. These next three are, to me, some of the most important in grant writing, is to make sure you edit, proofread carefully, and have the proposal proofread for scientific writing and grammar by someone experienced in this field. It is so important because when we grant write, sometimes we kind of get blinders on it. We read this and we think, oh, they're going to know exactly what I mean. You know, I think this is so specific and so on the mark. And sometimes when someone else reads it, they'll tell you, oh, this isn't quite clear. This needs a little more information, or catch those mistakes that once you've looked at a document 50 times that you may not see anymore. So definitely have someone else read your proposal. The next thing you should do is you should really ask yourself some questions before you sit down to send in a proposal. Do you have the capacity and time to complete the grant, to carry out the project in the time allotted, and to meet grant reporting requirements? We're a 55-year-old organization. We are going to be here. If now is not your moment to do this, if you do not have the staff capacity, time to do everything that you put in your proposal and the reporting afterwards, just be real with that and maybe wait a grant cycle or two. We'll be here and we will welcome your proposal when you send it. The next is, does the grant amount reasonably cover the true cost of implementing the study? Make sure you write an accurate budget and say how additional funding plays into your study in the application. Our scientific review committee is researchers. Please, they know how much it costs for all of the materials that you are putting in there. So be realistic with it. Please, please, please be realistic with it because they know the cost of materials and what it takes to do this research. And lastly, again, I know I hit on this before, but please do have another person proofread the proposal for clarity. Does what I'm writing make sense? We are really fortunate in that we have some of the most brilliant proposals come in from all over the world. However, we do ask that if English isn't your first language, possibly have a native English speaker give it a read over first, just to make sure for clarity that everything translated well. We definitely do not recommend using Google Translate because sometimes that doesn't work as well as you would hope. Now, if the moment comes and it's the moment no one loves and you were rejected, here are a few of the reasons we have rejected proposals here before at EveryCat. If the submission deadline was missed, I mean, that is an easy one. Get it in before the deadline, please. And once the portal closes, the portal is closed. So do make sure that you submit. The proposal subject does not align with the criteria. A good example of that is if you tried to submit a proposal for HCM during CAP K, which is diet and phosphorus related, that may be better served for the EveryCat grant and doesn't meet the criteria of CAP K. If your project methodology was unclear, your scientific merit was unclear, you have a poor hypothesis, really just make sure that everything that you're writing is clear and makes sense. The scientific reviewers reading this know the terminology, they know their lines of work very well. And we've had proposals submitted before that have just left them scratching their head going, I don't know what they mean. So please try to be as clear as possible. Another reason for possible rejection is did not meet the humane guidelines. That is a very big one for us and something we are very, very conscious of. If your budget is unrealistic, again, scientific reviewers know what the cost of things are, so keep that in mind. If your proposal lacked clarity or was difficult to follow, or it was not complete. But again, on the complete thing, our apply software does make it a little easier for you not to forget some things, but do make sure you include all the information we request in the supplemental documents. And lastly, writing quality was poor or contained multiple errors of spelling, grammar, or style. Now, I will be upfront. If you have a couple typos in there, we're not going to automatically fail you. We know people are human. We know they happen. However, this is errors to the point of we can't understand you. It is very unclear. It is choppy. We're having to read it 4 or 5 times over to try to get the meaning of it. That's more what we mean with that than anything. But definitely, again, have someone proofread it. EveryCat Health Foundation is unique in that once our grant cycles are over, we will provide you with the reviewer's worksheet of notes. This is to help you. We want to help you write better proposals and to home in on what we're looking for. Additionally, if you reach out to us, we are happy to provide copies of older successful proposals for you to use as a template and to see what's worked and what's been a successful proposal. So with all of this said, what's the biggest tip we can give our grant applicants? It would be read the directions and ask questions early. We've seen this interesting phenomenon of when the deadline gets really close, that grants email starts to blow up a lot more, and so does that phone number I have listed here. So please take a look at all of the grant materials in the RFP early. We are here to help you. We want to help you write a successful proposal because we are all in it for the same mission of having better lives for our cats. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and talk about the grant portal. For our last 3 grant cycles, we have been excited to unveil our new proposal software. This was done to make the process easier for both applicants and reviewers. So I'm going to do a little show and tell here. If you have been through our grant software before, some of this will look really familiar, but it'll also refresh you on how to get into the system when it's time to apply for another grant. And for those of you who are new, this will be your first time just kind of seeing a little bit of a walkthrough of it. So what you're going to go ahead and do, and I'm going to bring my mouse over here, is you're going to go ahead and go to this website right here of everycat.smapply.io. Once you go there, it will take you to this page, which is just our landing page. It'll give kind of a little bit of the information from some of the RFPs. Some of this may look familiar from what I've talked about today. At this point, if you are brand new and you have never done a grant with us before on this system, you will go ahead and hit register. If you have done this before, if you have done any of our grants in the last 3 cycles, you will go ahead and hit log in. This is for you new folks. If you are new, it will prompt you to go ahead and fill in your information, prove that you are not a robot, and sign up to get into the software, at which point it will take you here. This is where you'll land. If you have no applications or if you are new, it will take you here. You will go ahead and hit this button right here that says view programs. You also, just real quick, we'll go ahead and it will ask you to verify your email. Do that. I'm not going to show you that today, but it's not imperative for moving forward. You can still view the programs before you verify your email. So go ahead and click view programs. And at that point, it will take you to our programs. So as you can see, we have our past EveryCat grant in here, and you can see when it opened and when it closed. With CapK, you can see this opened in February and is currently closing on the 17th. So if you are someone who is interested in applying for a CapK grant, you will go ahead and click more. And it will take you to the landing page for CapK. This right here will keep going and explain a lot of actually what you saw on the slide today will look really familiar. But to apply, you will go ahead and hit this green apply button. And it will take you here. It will assign you a grant proposal number, which is what you'll see here. Regardless of whether or not you end up submitting or not, it will generate that grant number. And when you are ready to start that application, please ignore the 2022 on here. This is an older screenshot. Go ahead and click your task, and you'll click the grant proposal application. It will then take you to the application itself. And this is where you will fill everything out. It will ask you to upload documents. It will ask you for all of that information I saw that we request of you in the RFP. One quick note, when you go down, you can save. The system will save for you periodically. However, make sure when you're done for the day, go ahead and hit that save button again, just to make sure. And also, I'd like to mention that if you have that moment of you accidentally submit it, or you submit it before the deadline and you have that 2 a.m. moment of, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to put such and such, it is not closed for good. Please reach out to us at the grants email or give us a call, and we are happy to open that back up for you. It is not do or die. If you make a mistake and you accidentally submit, you can get it reopened if it is before the deadline. I'm going to go ahead and pop my information up. We can keep asking questions, but that way, you guys, if you want to take this information down, especially the specific grant questions, that's the phone number you'll call and email you'll use if you have questions regarding the proposal. Like if you get off of this in 2 hours, you think, oh, I should have asked, please go ahead and reach out to us there, and we are happy to answer questions. Also, I want to take this moment to suggest you also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. That is absolutely where we put our latest news. We will on the website too. And like we said, we are going to throw this up on YouTube for you to refer back to. Okay, well, in that case, we got through this quickly. I want to thank you all so much for coming today. Again, follow us on all our social media, reach out if you have any questions. And even if you just have grant questions for anything in general, just reach out to us. We are happy to help, and we are here for you. And thank you for all that you do for cats and for your interest in EveryCat Health Foundation. I hope you guys have a great day and take care.